All right, so thanks for joining me today for another video. Today we're going to install the Acuity base plate that the shifter sits on top of. This is a really nice piece here. It covers the existing opening that the shifter comes through. If you are curious on how to do this, Acuity has a 35-page instruction manual for this install. It's very detailed with everything you're going to need. And it does say this should only be installed by a skilled mechanic. So not sure if that's me, but we're going to give it a go. So the first thing we need to do is get the old rubber piece off, and we need to run the two provided bolts up from the top. Those even have torque specs. So they're going to serve as studs. And then once we tighten the plate down and get it in place, we'll be able to mark the two holes we're going to have to drill here. I'm sure most people could figure this out without the directions, but I'm gonna follow them in detailed fashion and let you guys know exactly the step-by-step process. So the first thing we need to do is get the two bolts threaded up through there and torque them to the specs that they provide, and then we can mark our holes. Okay, so I'm under the car here. These are the factory holes that the shifter would be mounted to. So we're going to thread these in here and get them to come all the way through. We'll bottom these out. Acuity does a good job with packaging their stuff. It's a really nice kit. Quality looks good. So we'll bottom these out, and then we'll get to go to the top for the next part. Okay, so the two 8mm bolts are through. You need to torque them to 16 foot-pounds. Then you're going to place some masking tape just ahead of this opening here, because then you're going to place the base plate over just like that, and then we will mark our two holes to then drill out. Okay, so use a punch, start with the 1/8 drill bit, and then open it up with a 3/8. I'm gonna get a shot back to suck all of those shavings up, and then proceed to the next set of directions. There we go. Okay, so after looking ahead of the directions, I realized I've installed these underneath the car initially, and these are not the correct ones. You need to be using these bolts with the flange head, the flange bolts. So I'm going to put these back in, torque them down to the 16 foot-pounds. I guess that's why they say a qualified mechanic is necessary to do this. So let's put these in and keep going. Okay, so we got the correct bolts put in. I thought something was off with this. I figured there should have been a washer, because the head on these aren't that wide, and I thought, well, we'll run it. But I'm glad I caught it. The flange bolt is the way to go. It's a 14, so those are torqued to 22 foot-pounds, and now this piece comes up through our two holes and then gets secured with these two nuts. All right, so that's in. I assume these are going to be torqued to 22 as well, but I'm going to go double check before we do that. So let's see here. Yeah, so torque those to 22. Well, 22 Newton meters, sorry. So it's, I'm making a mistake. 22 Newton meters, 16 foot-pounds for all of it. So these other ones are 16 foot-pounds as well, and those are 16 foot-pounds. So we'll grab the wrench to get on the bottom and torque those down. All right, so just to clarify, it is 22 Newton meters or 16 foot-pounds for all 4 of these. So all right, so these are good. So these will be the studs that the plate will be mounted to, and then nutted from the top down. So I think the next thing that we have to do is they give us this styrofoam piece that will block off the existing hole there, and this has sticky side here. I think that gets mounted to the back, but let's go check that out. Okay, so here's the foam, and pretty straightforward. I'm just gonna peel this off here and stick it like so. Okay, so now we can put this over. So the directions say it is reversible, this plate, so depending on how you, if you desire a more rearward or forward facing shifter, you can rotate it. So this is a little tricky to get down with these studs, so we're going to take our time here. Let me work this out and then I'll get back to you. Okay, so before I fully commit to this position of the base plate, I figured I should set the shifter on there to see if this is going to be in a favorable position for my liking. I do have to say their packaging is really nice. They do a good job of making sure their components don't get scratched up, and looks really, really nice. So this part right here allows for some adjustment if I want it forward or further back, or even left to the right. In the fully, or all the way rotated to the back, I think that is going to be okay. I guess it depends on where the shifter starts, as far as once the cables get on there. This is adjustable too, so I can lower it if I'm close to the dash, which I don't mind a lower shift knob actually. And the only beef that I have with rotating the base is that these tabs here extend and then interfere with this mounting plate that needs to be there for the center console to be mounted back in, which I do plan on running. So I'm going to leave the plate in this position for now, bolt it down, and once we get the cables on, and if it's placed too far forward, then we can rotate this plate and come up with plan B. But because I do want to run the center console, I'm going to leave this in this position. So we'll get this bolted down and then take the next steps to get the shifter mounted to the base plate. Okay, base plate is mounted. Now we can mount the shifter. So they supply you with these purple washers and these Allen head screws, and if you're using an aftermarket shifter like the Acuity one here, you use the 4 shorter bolts, and if you are using a stock shifter, you will use the 4 longer supplied bolts. So this will just get threaded in, and these four will be torqued to, I believe it is 6.9 foot-pounds, so not very much. I did supply Loctite, or used Loctite on all of the other nuts that I secured on there. Reason being is the car is going to have much more vibration than it usually would due to the Hotsport mounts. Even though they are the lower, the 62A durometer, that still is going to induce quite a bit of vibration, and I'm curious if this will over time come loose. So that's why I Loctited the other bolts underneath, so I don't have to worry about that. These are easily accessible, and I can just check on them as we go. So I'm going to grab the correct size for that head and torque these 4 bolts down. All right, so that completes the install of the shifter. Everything is torqued down. I have the adjustable rod here. This can go up and down too if you want to adjust height. So there's a lot of adjustability built into this, which is really nice. They say the base plate is actually 4 ways. So you can go frontwards, more to the front if you want, or to the back. And if you rotate it, you have more adjustment that way too. And then depending on how you want to adjust this, you can swing it left, right, forward, or facing the back. So a lot of adjustability here. Obviously the cables are not hooked up yet because the transmission's not in, so I'm not going to hassle with that, but just kind of going back and forth, this thing feels super solid, super nice. I do have a shift knob coming, but all in all, I can't be mad about this. I'm super excited for this. I kind of hate to cover it up with the center console, so I'm going to think about that, and if that's something I want to do, we'll see. But I'm going to wrap this video up here. Thanks for watching. On the next one, I think I'm going to be installing the traction bar, and then we can start working on the motor. So again, enjoy the day, and catch you on the next one. Thank you.